Great. Hi, Steven. So first question, Court Square in Long Island City has seen significant residential development with thousands of new residents coming in and large buildings. Although the city has tried to balance the unplanned residential development by promising Queens Public Library to reopen the closed library branch in a new location and budgeting money for a new elementary school, there really hasn't been any progress or updates from the SCA or Queens Public Library. So the
Yeah,
question is, as the council member that represents the neighborhood, what steps can you do to prevent these scenarios from occurring in the future? And now that we're in the current situation, what steps can you do to ensure the city actually delivers its promise for the new school and reopening the library branch?
yeah, for sure, for sure. There's a lot we can do. When you say the new school, this is 384. It
No, the city budgeted $60 million for a new elementary school in
That's
Court
right.
The but they haven't been able to find out
The new one.
land for it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Like there's money, but there's no land. That's what the SCA has been saying. It's a lot of this is in my opinion, like just working in government and seeing how the agencies interact with each other. There's just a lot of lack of transparency between the agencies and also with the community involved, the stakeholders involved. So a few things. I think the question, just so I want to answer it on target, is as a city council member, what can we do to ensure that these projects get through the finish line? Okay. Okay, great. I think that, and this is, and you even see people, if folks are on a community board or something, you see how this goes. If you talk to an agency, oh, I'll bring it back next month. Oh, I'll ask, I'll ask, this agency there. I'll report back in a month. The next thing you know, a whole year goes by. I think that there should be community stakeholders or a task force or some sort of committee put in place of stakeholders and entities in the district or around that site or that target, and have monthly updates directly. Because I think aside on top of like going through a community board, going through the process and talking to agencies, and just have everyone on the same page on timeline and have all questions, this is a big deal, have all questions set with the external entities ahead of time so they can answer it at the meeting, not, oh, great, I'll circle back in a month or 2 months, and then everyone's anxious and stressed out for 2 months. I think that is a good first step, holding the feet to the fire of agencies and external and external entities that are outside the district or outside this project. And as city council member, that's something I would promise to do, because I would be transparent as well. I would be like, hey guys, you could literally ask me every month, and that means if I have to report to you guys every month, I need a report from the other guys so I could put it together for you guys. At the very least, I think that proactive transparency is something not just our district needs, but all over the city, but in particularly our district, in particularly Long Island City, where we need some of the infrastructure change and these resources in sooner than later, obviously.
Great. So the second question is, District 26 is made of diverse neighborhoods that are pretty segregated. Today, families in one neighborhood can live, eat, work, and send their kids to different schools than other families in the district. Oftentimes, these communities don't intersect, and you end up with perspectives from one neighborhood describing Long Island City as filled with ghost towers and empty buildings. And then the other perspective talks about how overcrowded Long Island City is with the lack of school seats and public green space and sewage systems. So as the elected official representing the overall district, how do you reconcile these perspectives and different communities to ensure better connectivity, but also overall representation for the district?
Yeah, sure. That's a good question. LIC is really experiencing that, right? But also in other neighborhoods too. Um, I'm in at the eastern part of Woodside that gets really ignored, and it's very different from the western side of Woodside, or the northern side of Woodside that has the NYCHA development. So which is different than the southern, which has the big six. Like it's all like different pockets and different priorities for those neighborhoods. But obviously, it's very interesting in LIC because it's an influx of new families, younger families, and making sure that infrastructure is at play and can be used, and also the resources are there, not just short term, but you got to plan it out when and how this is going to look like in 5-10 years, and that those decisions need to be made sooner than later and have proper city planning for that. But and how to reconcile some of these divisions and silos. that would be more of a programming thing, not legislation, in my opinion, not legislation. So what would I do programming wise? I might have said this before, and I used this when I was a chief of staff at some in Barnwell's for 4 years. And the very first, I had a few plans I threw at him. The first one in the first January of 2017 was, hey, we need community advisory councils, because this is a very diverse district too, and different perspectives from the west and the east and all over. So from I would do two things, where one, community advisory councils per neighborhood. So Woodside, Lawn City, Southern Astoria, and Sunnyside, to get community leaders, stakeholders, small business owners, community leaders, youth, seniors, all those folks together, school leaders, to update each other on what's going on in their pockets of the district. So what's going on in, in like Queensbridge area, then, Hunters Point, and, like Court Square, like if folks can regularly discuss, and I'm sure people already do, but to have that space, like spaces to formalize these types of discussions is sometimes needed. And that's just one piece. The second piece is I would implement also a task force specific to sectors. So within that, that's cross District 26. I'd like to implement a task force specific to education issues for seniors issues, technology issues, transportation issues, and the like. So all of that together, that's cross-cutting on top of the neighborhood specific issue set. I think it's something that would really jump on this increased era of civic engagement that we've been seeing the last few months, years in the neighborhood, and we can't let that energy go to waste. So it's good to just bring folks in and see what they would can contribute, and at the very least through discussion and talking with their neighbors across town.
Nice. Thank you. So just two more questions. The third question is, when Court Square was first envisioned in Long Island City, it was supposed to be a commercial area, an extension of Midtown East. However, the development ended up being largely large residential high-rise buildings. And today, Court Square is being positioned as more of a mixed-use neighborhoods, with some commercial development like the Jacks, a large office space, and then a new bio life science building. So what are your perspectives on diversifying the building mixes, specifically commercial businesses within Court Square? And if applicable, with what government policies, tools, or incentives, or otherwise?
Here, let me check out. Hold on, this is the one I'll actually read up. Yeah. Okay, so what are the perspectives diversifying the like mixed use buildings? Okay. Of course. Sure. So yes, so it was originally more commercial in the area. I remember 15 years ago walking around and walking up to like Queensbridge, and I had friends who worked in like the factories and all of that. So definitely remember it from 15, 20 years ago. But yeah, so with this development and with more of a focus on, or centering at least, mixed use options for these developments, in my opinion, I think that's something locally that we can, that if I would push, is if the local community can decide on, or at the very least, the city council can decide on a particular formula, because I feel like there's too much wiggle room in the back end. And in the back end, developers can do A, B, and C to try to prioritize bottom line profits instead of what the community may need. So if the community may need a more affordable housing, in which what is affordable is a whole nother question here, but also you need there's small business there that have been there for decades, and what do they deem as affordable, especially coming out of COVID? But you also need an art space and school and a hospital in our district. We need all these things. Now, if there was a particular ratio in population and planning and allocation of the city budget in which it automatically triggers a priority of in the city, in the district, and also a formula that comes around, because then there's no like backroom, hey, I'll change this up, maybe I'll go through this and this, and that goes through the Euler process. And obviously that, and how the lack of community input and engagement veer or disproportionately weigh what the really local 10 block radius of a development is being done. So that's my perspective of a building. It's too broad. We need a specific formula to answer your question, and no rambling. Specific formula, get on the same page. And I think that's something that the city needs to fight for and prioritize in the next city council makeup. But also, I want to answer it fully. What is the government tools that you can use to incentivize and otherwise? Well, these are something you could put for the developer. So there's different parts of or different incentives for the developer. I think one thing is they need to bring in their bottom line and their long-term projections, financial projections in the projects up front. And so we can see on their end what they're looking in long-term, and so the community can adjust and not just and have that as a variable in discussing. Now, when they do that, that's something that we can incentivize and give different resources and priority to different developments and projects that do that, so we can get on the same page and be more transparent.
Okay, great. So just the very last question, and this question was asked in March. I know that the question was, who would be your number 2 ranked choice vote in the city council election? I know in March at the time you were still learning the candidates, and if you still are, that's okay too. The bonus question is, who would be your ranked choice vote for the next mayor of New York City as well?
Ranked choice vote I don't know which question is harder. Now it's for mayor, it kind of every week something new happens, and you got people move on that. But again, for the district, I've really only I haven't spoken to all the candidates. I've worked with, and I've had collaborative events. I had 2 with Julie. I'm doing one with Jonathan Bailey coming up, and I did a cultural celebration with Bajun Khan, and other candidates I'm friendly with. In terms of who I would rank number 2, I have not decided yet. I'm gonna decide 100%. It's just I feel like a lot of the constituents, our friends or neighbors, like, does everybody have their 1 to 5 set up right now? Like, things are going to change moving forward. I'll definitely have if you do this a week before the election, I'll have it for you guys. In terms of but I'll back up, and I will say it looks like we got a good few options. I do like some of the other folks in the race, and some of their plans, and also their commitment to the district long term. A lot of community work over the years, a lot of ties to the district, and I appreciate them stepping up and trying to speak for us district wide. For the mayor, no, I'm not touching that right now. I'm not sure, but I do have 1 or 2 in mind, but I'll keep that to myself for now.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Stephen.